Today on the Q Agenda, we have a fantastic show for you. World AIDS Day is upon us again. We want to talk about our history, the progress, and the challenges in the fight for the cure.
Singer and dancer Timo Nuñez is joining us to talk about his journey in the entertainment industry, and he will be performing right here on our stage.
And Mexican-American writer and producer Lady Diana tells us exclusively all about her award-winning film, Tacos y Tacones. All that and more right here on
The Q Agenda.
Each year on December 1st, the world commemorates World AIDS Day. People around the world unite to show support for people living with HIV and to remember those who have died from AIDS-related illnesses.
And each World AIDS Day focuses on a specific theme. This year's theme will be global solidarity and shared responsibility. Today, we would like to reflect on how far we've come in regards to HIV treatment and also remember those we have lost.
I think there's so much we can talk about in this subject. For some of us who have lived through, the disease, meaning, I lost one of my best friends to HIV complications. It's really remarkable to see how far we've gone, but still how much work we have to do. Nowadays there's a pill that you take a day and you can live with HIV and be perfectly fine and live a healthy, full life. But we can't forget those before us who passed due to HIV and AIDS complications that didn't have that option. And I think that that's something that we can't forget in our journey. And we have to inspire people to always get tested, to go out there, to know their status, and to protect themselves. And I think that because of now the treatment, people tend to forget about it, and they're not as afraid, and we just shouldn't forget about it.
I completely agree. That's something that I wanted to point out. I feel like within my generation, I think we kind of were past that peak of when HIV was really killing millions and millions and millions of people, the AIDS crisis. And I think I've had several friends who've been diagnosed with HIV, and it is amazing to see the progress that medication has, made. But at the same time, I do fear that it can kind of create kind of a complacent nature where we're not looking for the cure. We're not actively looking for a cure to completely eradicate HIV/AIDS. So it's kind of like, yes, we've made progress, but we have a much longer path to go when it comes to this disease.
And we've got about 1.2 million Americans living with HIV right now in the United States. And of those Americans that are living with this disease, 1 in 7 doesn't know that they are diagnosed with HIV. That's hundreds and thousands of people that are continuing to spread, obviously, a potentially life-ending disease. And when we unpack that a little further, what we learn is that it's because of the stigma that's associated still with HIV and AIDS. The fact that it's still, even though statistically numbers show us that it's not just a gay disease, but it's still considered sort of a gay disease, which leads a lot of heterosexual men also open to not wanting to get checked. If they do get checked, feeling the stigma of the diagnosis where they could never fall in love again or have sexual partners again, or worse, hide it. That goes for all sexualities. And so there's a stigma that we still need to unpack in order to actually see the end of the AIDS crisis ravaging not only Americans, but other countries around the world.
Absolutely. I think particularly what you're talking about with the stigma in the Latino community, the numbers that are the highest of people testing positive are straight women, because their husbands go out, cheat, and then come back home, and they give them the disease. So I think we have to definitely fight to finish the stigma and just start this conversations. We should be talking about it. I was so fascinated by their reaction to Pose when they started showing the 80s and how people were being affected by the virus back then. And the reaction from the young people watching it, to me, was outstanding. I think we definitely need to put on a light again and again on the stigma and just talk about it with the community.
And how interesting is it that right now we're living through a pandemic, and that's a pandemic very similar to what faced the gay community when AIDS first when we didn't know what it was, right? Gay cancer, they called it.
Absolutely.
And people would come to have dinner with their friend one night, the next night, that person would be gone. They'd go dancing with one person, that person would be infected, and so on and so forth. They didn't know how it spread. And so people were dying, and so left and right. And so well, we can empathize a little bit from our, I don't want to call them ancestors because many are still alive. Sorry if you're watching this, like, did she just call us an ancestor? No, we can sort of relate to those who came before us, including my uncle, who passed away from AIDS when I was just a little girl. And so it's sort of that kind of understanding of the world. Not only do we need to be more empathetic, we need to still be funding research and need to remember where we came from to know where we're going.
Exactly. And to please get tested, know your status.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. If you know your status, you can do something about it. So please go out there and get tested. Don't be afraid to do it.
I agree, and sadly, this is all the time we have, but when we come back, Timo Nuñez is joining us, so don't go away. You're watching The Q Agenda. Timo Nuñez is an American-born flamenco dancer, singer, actor, and photographer who has been critically acclaimed for the flamenco dancing since the age of 12.
He has worked with artists such as Jennifer Lopez, Carlos Santana, Selena Gomez, and Luis Fonsi, and has been featured in NBC's World of Dance, Fox's So You Think You Can Dance, and he has even been a flamenco consultant on ABC's Dancing with the Stars. We want to welcome Timo Nuñez. Welcome, Timo.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
We are super excited to have you here. You're such an artist. So who are some of the people that inspire you and motivate you to do what you do?
Wow, I would say that my number one answer to that question is my grandmother. I started dancing flamenco because my grandmother was a Spaniard and she was very proud of her heritage, and she got me and my sister involved when we were like 8 years old. So whenever there's something really exciting or that I really want to do a good job with, I think of her and I wear her necklace, and she's a big part of this.
Beautiful.
I love that so much. And I mean, I was very close to my abuela too. So anytime someone starts talking like that, it gets me, because it like gives you such a sense of purpose behind what you do. It's like you're channeling her. And was she a big dancer? Like, was she like, she also danced, I guess, incredibly well, or not so well? Or what do you remember about her?
She had what she would call sal. And she used to say that her parents used to say, either they have sal or they don't have sal. So she wasn't a dancer. She always wanted to be a dancer. She grew up in a large family, and she was the oldest, and she was kind of embarrassed to ask for dance classes. So when she finally had grandchildren and she could kind of slow down, because she raised 4 children as a single mother, she thought that this was something that she could do for us and for all of her grandchildren, was offer dance classes. So we started it young, and to see the look on her face when we started really learning how to do it and bringing back songs to her at the end of class and singing them, and she would have these memories of her parents singing the same songs. She didn't know they were flamenco songs at the time. She just knew they were the songs that her parents used to sing. So from that point forward, just performing and getting to see her reaction was something I'll never forget.
Well, you definitely made her proud. And today, you're in studio today to share us a song that you wrote, and tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah. So a couple years back, I had a very important moment in my life that I was kind of struggling with, and I couldn't really get out of this funk. And one of my good friends, Stevie Mackey, who I met on Jennifer Lopez's tour, he happens to be her vocal coach, and he told me to come over one day and just say, you need to sing, because this will snap you out of it. You don't have to take it too seriously, just like sing, and it's gonna feel good. So I went there and I sang, and it was so therapeutic for me, because I realized that this was something that I had always wanted to do. And being a choreographer to so many singers, I was always on set watching them, thinking to myself, this is my calling, this is what I want to do, but I need to stay in my lane. I was kind of insecure about it. And when he did that, it really changed it for me. So the last couple of years, I've been writing and enjoying this medium of expression, because up until this point, it had all been very physical expression. And now I can use my voice and I can connect in a different way. So I wrote my first song about 1.5 years ago, and this new song came out about 2 months ago. It's called Lavender Skies, And I named it Lavender Skies because when I was 18 years old and went to Spain for the first time as a young adult, my grandmother said, I'm probably not going to get to Spain again. Do me a favor, and when you're there, look up into the sky. They have these lavender skies. It's different than anywhere else in the world. Wow. So now every time I go there, I look up and I see these skies. And that just kind of inspired me to create something beautiful.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story. So what do you tell to people that it used to be like if you were a dancer, you couldn't be a singer, you couldn't be an actor, you do it all. So what do you tell to those people that want to do it all and don't know how to do it all?
It's been feeling so good just to throw myself into this. And not at a young age either, you know, like some people might say it's too late. I feel like it's the perfect time for me. And whenever I get the opportunity to speak with someone who seems to be craving something and just afraid to do it, I use myself as an example. And I may never make it. I may never go become famous and rich, but I am living my dream right now. And I think that every single person deserves that experience. And we can create it for ourselves. It can be at different scales, but look at me. I'm here right now with you guys, having a wonderful time talking about my song and performing on TV. Hopefully inspiring a little kid like I was when I was afraid to be expressive and dance and be a male dancer in society, you know?
So you've already done so much, you've already accomplished so much. What's next?
My life is pretty much centered around art. I love art. I love singing, I love dancing, I love acting. I'm working on a new track right now called Novela with a wonderful singer named Alma Lake. She's from Colombia, and it's going to be a dramatic telenovela Spanish situation. I'm also, studying acting and continuing to pursue all of my other endeavors through art.
We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, Timo is going to sing, he's going to dance, it's going to be amazing. Don't go anywhere. You're watching us on The Q Agenda.
Well, he needs very little introduction. He is a fantastic singer, dancer, and artist. We are delighted to welcome Timo Nuñez.
This is Lavender Skies and Breathe on Me, accompanied by my buddy over here, G. Morales, and one of my co-writers on Breathe on Me. I hope you enjoy. Body to body, we're climbing, let's paint the horizon to the rhythm of the present time. Moving to the way you move, baby, we'll dive in the ocean and sink into motion. No reason for lies, I only wanna dance with you under lavender skies. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, oh, oh. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Báilame bajo el cielo con tu sonrisa y tu cuerpo entero. Tu cara es como el sol que brilla sobre mí. Báilame, báilame, baby. You know I want you, it's not a maybe. Ay, ay, ay. I only wanna dance with you under lavender skies. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Oh, 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 oh. I only wanna dance with you. Te vi por la noche, yo sé que tú también me viste. Staring into your smile, yeah, you know what I mean. You act like there's nobody watching you, libre, so free. But I know that you know, caught you staring at me. The night has just begun, let me take you away. You can be who you want to be, close your eyes, let the melody breathe. just as long as you breathe, just as long as you breathe on me. Cuando te vuelo, yo quiero tu aroma sobre mí. Abrazados, we looked up to see incendios en el cielo, and they danced for you and me. The night has just begun. Let me take you away. You can be who you want to be. Close your eyes. Let the melody breathe. Just as long as you breathe. Just as long as you breathe on me. Come with me to Spain. We'll see from the plain all the rolling hills. Take us to Brazil, then to Paris, France. Drink and chase romance. Solo quiero sentir tu aroma sobre mí. Has just begun. Let me take you away. You can be who you want to be. Close your eyes. Let the melody breathe. Just as long as you breathe. Just as long as you breathe on me.
We want to thank Timo for this spectacular performance, and when we come back, it's all about tacos and tacones with Lady Diana. So don't go anywhere because you're kicking it with the Q Agenda.
Writer and activist Diana Feliz Oliva sat down with us exclusively to talk about her journey of discovery and her award-winning short, Tacos y Tacones. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Diana Feliz Oliva, and I go by Lady Diana, and I'm a writer. And I was raised in a small rural town just outside of Fresno, California. My mother raised 2 boys, 2 girls, and me. As you can imagine, growing up in a small rural town wasn't easy for a shy, feminine, awkward little kid like myself. I was constantly made fun of by my neighborhood, classmates, and within my own family. The constant bullying and harassment caused me to feel years of shame, stigma, and discrimination. I felt like I had no voice. I felt like I didn't belong. Because of those experiences, I struggled with my gender identity. And it wasn't until years later, in my mid-20s, that I relocated from Fresno, California to Los Angeles to begin and explore my dreams. I knew that life was too short, that I wanted to live in my truth, and ultimately I wanted to be happy. Many trans Latinas, when we come to Los Angeles for big dreams and happiness, that is not our reality. We sometimes end up on the streets of Los Angeles, on Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. In order to survive, we engage in sex work. In order to put food on the table, clothes on our backs, and roofs above us. And so unfortunately, I was arrested several times because of sex work. But that was the only place that I felt validation as a trans woman. I didn't receive validation or affirmation or any love anywhere else, not in my family, not in my school, and not in my neighborhood. And unfortunately, the realities of trans women like myself, we find love and affection and validation on the streets. But I remember the last time I was arrested. I spoke to an older trans woman incarcerated there with me, and she gave me the hope and the dream that I could succeed out of this sex work life and incarceration. And so I promised myself when I was released the very last time in May of 2002 that I would never return back to the Twin Towers of LA County Jail. And luckily, 2 years to the date, I had graduated from Cal State Los Angeles with my bachelor's in social work. And a year later, moved to New York to begin my master's graduate studies at Columbia University and received my master's degree in social work. And I remember the day on my graduation that I had finally come to the realization that I had shattered the feelings of shame, stigma, fear, and guilt. But it took many years and many family support and many friendships along the way to making sure that this dream was a reality. And I really wanted to create a play that really highlighted trans experiences from a Latina point of view. And then also from a Latina point of view that grew up on the streets, on the streets of Los Angeles, surviving sex work, surviving drug abuse, surviving violence, surviving the HIV/AIDS epidemic, surviving intimate partner abuse. And so I wrote the play not only in English, but also in Spanish. So it's a very bilingual play, and we have characters that only speak in Spanish, and some characters only speak in English, and some of us speak in Spanglish. And so I'm hoping that this Tacos y Tacones, that was originally made into a play, was actually produced by myself and a couple of our grassroots friends, and got to have it developed into a short film. And so I'm very proud to have a final project of a 10-minute short film kind of depicting the lives of trans Latinas on the streets of Hollywood. Representation matters because it raises our visibility and our voice, and most of all, our power as trans Latina writers. When I was researching trans Latina writers, I believe there was only one in the United States that had actually written a production and starred it and directed it, and that inspired me to create my own stories. But unfortunately, there wasn't any stories that depict trans women living on the streets or surviving on the streets. And I think sometimes we don't want to showcase that reality of our experience, but that's a huge reality for trans Latina. And so I really wanted to showcase not only trans Latinas living in the street, but in a manner that destigmatizes them and that humanizes them, because many times when you think of a street-based sex worker or you think of somebody engaged in street economy, you think of the criminal element or you dehumanize those stories. And I really wanted to show women of color, especially Chicana and Latinas, in a way that people can resonate with. We all have dreams. We all have pain. We all have laughter. And it was really important for me to showcase that in my short 10-minute film.
We want to thank Diana for joining us. To watch her film and to learn more about today's show, don't forget to visit latv.com, and we will see you next time on The Q Agenda.